Oh, hello, YouTube. Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am going over all of the books I read in March. I will admit that March was perhaps a less fruitful reading month. I read some very chonky books, and then the rest of the month, I just couldn't be bothered to read. I was in a slump, I guess. I just didn't want to, so I didn't read as many books as normal, but I think that's okay. You gotta give yourself breaks. But on that note, I have 8 books to go over today, so let's get into it. So starting things off, as I always do with books I've kind of already reviewed, I'm gonna put them all in the video for the sense of clarity. First up, I have Tall Toast by Anne Rice. I finished the Mayfair Witches trilogy finally. There is a whole recap video up on this book already, and you know what? I genuinely kind of liked it. I'm just as surprised as all of you are, because the first 2 books of the series, I didn't like, to, be fair. I mean, I could just say I hated them, but I'm trying to be nice. The whole thing that was bothering me about Witching Hour and Lasher, books 1 and 2 of the series, were mainly the fact that it was all about sexual terror. And that was the main part of the plot. And this one, Tall Toast, kind of removed the sexual terror and just made it about hey, these characters have been traumatized for 2 books. Let's let them start recovering from that trauma and dealing with it. So this basically is more of a moody book about feelings. But I think it is a done well book about moody feelings. And without getting into a long review of it, since there is a whole long video review of this already, overall I liked it. It's basically showing how good of a writer Anne Rice was, but taking out all of the weird sex and sexual terror that I wasn't vibing with. So this book, love it. It's actually really good. There's some very great writing in here, just soft, quiet scenes with Rowan trying to deal with her PTSD and recovering from all the trauma she's had and multiple things. Very good, very subtle, poignant moments. And also there's some really terrifying moments in this book. So that being said, yes, Anne Rice is a good writer, but sometimes she went off the rails with her weird sex stuff. She can be both things. Apparently, a lot of people disagree with me, but yeah, she could do weird sex stuff and also be a good author. She's not one or the other. A reread for me was Casino Royale by Ian Fleming. There will be a whole recap video on this coming out shortly, so I don't want to spoil it, but it's coming very soon. And at this time, I'm going to officially announce I am doing a whole recap series on James Bond, in particular the Ian Fleming series. There's 14 books. I'm gonna do them all. I've already read all 14 of them, so I am kind of excited to actually go back and reread them to do the videos. They're really, really good. However, let's be real, these were written in the 1950s by an old white British guy. It would be great if there was progressive social commentary in it, but I'm not coming here expecting that. It is a product of his time. There is a definite yikes factor to all of the books, and I will address it in my recap video, but just go in knowing there's gonna be some problematic things being said, but the writing is so good overall, and I think James Bond is a much more interesting character in the books and in some of the movies even, because he is international super spy, and he gets the girl, and he's very suave. He has all that going for him, but at its core, I think it's actually, a lot like Tall Toast here. It's a moody book about feelings. So, yes, very interested in doing the whole series because I am obsessed with James Bond, and I'm excited to bring that to all of you. Moving along, I'm going to go into my book club picks. Every month, my patrons and channel members have an exclusive book club with me, and this month, in March, we actually had a double feature because there was a tie. So, first things first, we read The Perfect Crimes of Marion Hayes by Kat Sebastian. Overall, I love this. I thought it was really fun. It's kind of a zany rom-com, and it's historical romance. And the big thing I really appreciate about Cat Sebastian's works in general is that, yes, it's historical romance, but like everybody's bisexual. Well, not like everybody, but that's kind of the vibe here. It's basically be gay, do crime. And I love that. So this one is about Marion and Rob. And through a series of events and blackmail, they end up teamed up with each other. And they're kind of like on this rowdy road trip going around picking pockets, rescuing, you know, the scruffiest, mangiest cats you can find. All this kind of zany adventure stuff. Because both of them are running from like a past that they don't want to catch up with them. And along the way, romance happens. And I do really enjoy the fact in this book that even though this is Marion and Rob, and, you know, it's technically a heterosexual relationship, it's still queer AF. Love that. So if you're looking for like fun historical romance with zany capers, crime, queer representation, and just overall laughs and good times and like fun smut, this is the book for you. Mind you, though, it is book 2 of this series. There is a book that came before this. However, I feel like they can be read as standalones. So if you haven't read book 1, you can go into book 2 and be fine. Like, I didn't have any trouble picking up what had already happened. So I think it's really good. I ended up giving it like 4.5 stars. Loved it. So much fun. The other book we read for book club was Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. And here's the deal. This book is a little bit hypey right now. Like, I've seen a lot of channels start picking up this series recently. It's been out for a minute, and I've been meaning to read it for quite some time and just never got to it. But I was like, all right, fine. The hype is here. I will jump on the hype train. And so I read it, and I'm just going to be honest, because I always am. I liked it, but I didn't love it. Essentially, I ended up giving it like 3.5 stars. Basically everything. I pretty much rate everything 4. Like, have you met me? But 3.5 stars. I liked it. I didn't love it. Mainly because a lot of the tropes and the plot in this book, arguably, I've seen done better elsewhere. It's very inspired by, I would say, like Sarah J. Maas. So if you're a big Sarah J. Maas fan, you're a Throne of Glass fan, I think you would get really into this series. It has a lot of similar elements and similar character types. But essentially, like, it is about this girl named Tisana. She was enslaved, and then she escapes, and she goes to, like, the magic school. Basically, there's like an academy, and it's like wizards and stuff, and it's like the army of wizards, and she goes to them saying, I need help, and then like they're like, all right, fine, but you have to train with Maxentarius, who's like a grumpy guy who doesn't want to train students. And then like he ends up training her, and then like romance ensues because they each have like their individual traumas they're both trying to work through together. So it does have like that going on that I thought was like an interesting plot point. And then about halfway through the book, it becomes a completely new story. Like, I feel like there's 2 different books inside this one book, because the whole first half of the story was one thing. Then there's an event, I don't want to like spoil things, where now the whole book is about something else. So it's like, wait a minute, why did we take this left turn all in one book? So perhaps it's a bit overwritten. I know like books 2 and 3 of this series are even longer, so it's concerning. But I liked it. I didn't love it. I think if you're a big Sarah J. Maas fan and you're looking for something Sarah J. Maas-esque while you're waiting for a new book from Sarah J. Maas, this might like scratch that itch for you. So check it out if that seems like something you would like. Okay, so moving on to all the books I haven't already reviewed yet. I'm going to start off with romance here, and I read 2 of them. I read Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey, and I loved this book so much. I loved it. It's great. It's probably going to make my best romances of the year list. Like, I had so much fun with this one. And I mean, that's not unusual. In general, I very much like Tessa Bailey. For a couple reasons, and I feel like this is the same across all of her books, that Tessa Bailey writes more realistic characters. Like, nobody's a billionaire in her books. They all have like regular jobs and they have to, you know, work for a living. None of them have like business abs. So I'll explain. That's a trope I find in a lot of like billionaire romances, where he's like a billionaire CEO, but he still has rock hard abs. And it's like, when did he have time to work out? Like, this makes no sense. You don't get to be a billionaire CEO working 60-hour weeks and still have rock hard abs. It doesn't work. I realize it's fantasy and it's allowed to work in that instance, but it doesn't make any sense. And I like that in Tessa Bailey's world, it's more rooted in reality. Like, if people want abs, they actually go and work out for them. And most of the people in her books aren't like, you know, Hemsworth brothers. Like, they're like normal dudes and normal women, and they fall in love with each other. So I really like how grounded it is. Then, like, I can relate to these characters much more because, like, I am not a billionaire. But for Secretly Yours in particular, we're dealing with Julian and Hallie. And they kind of have like a grump sunshine relationship. Hallie has kind of like always had this huge mega crush on Julian ever since she was a kid. And Julian doesn't really remember Hallie even from when they were kids. So like, that's hurtful. But basically, he's kind of grumpy professor. He also deals a lot with like a panic disorder. So he has his own like things he's dealing with. And then, like, boom, Hallie comes in and she's just chaos and sunshine. And he's like, oh my God. And at first he is horrified. And then he realizes, like, I like sunshine. Don't go away. I need you to be with me. If anyone makes her unhappy, I'm going to murder them. Like, he gets very intense, but like in a funny way, not in a creepy way. So yeah, I feel like Julian could also be written, like, if you amped up Julian's evil side, he would be a great villain. Because he's like, she is made of sunshine and I will destroy you if you make her frown. Like, that's like his vibe, but you know, he's not a villain in this, so it doesn't get as extreme as like a fantasy level villain character who would just burn their village down for doing that. So choices, you know. I really loved both of these characters. I love their romance. I will admit though, the third act breakup is it's not the best. And like the aftermath from it felt a little rushed. So it didn't get a full 5, but I'm giving it 4.5. I had to take off a little bit for that because overall I liked the book so much and the characters that I didn't mind that problem with it. So overall I loved it. I have already pre-ordered the next book of the series. I believe it's called Unfortunately Yours. I am very excited for it. I'm loving this series. It's really good. Check it out. I also read Radian Sin by Katie Robert. This is the most recent entry in her Dark Olympus series, and basically it's just like a reimagining of all of like, you know, the Greek gods essentially. And this one in particular is Cassandra and Apollo. Now, you know, the original tale of Cassandra and Apollo doesn't end well for Cassandra, so I don't know what to do. And then I went into this one, and Katie Roberts still brought in those elements of like the original myth, but you know, changed it up. So Apollo isn't an asshole who cursed her for not like wanting to date him. It's a little different here. Like, they still put in like Cassandra's whole deal with like she was cursed to be able to foretell the future, but no one would believe her. And in this world, like, she has all these truths she's trying to tell people, but no one believes her. But she wasn't cursed into this. And then Apollo is, like, gentleman spy. He's, like, the head of, like, the spy network of Olympus. And Cassandra, as, like, works with him. And throughout, there's been, like, secret pining for years, and then like finally it like all emerges into like a fake dating situation, which turns into a lot of real sexy situations. So in general, I did like this one, even though, you know, the Apollo in this one wasn't very flashy. He was very subdued, and I think I wanted a bit more flash from him. Like, you know, it's Apollo, he's the sun god. Like, it's right there. It's, you know, it's like an easy choice. But I did like what she did with the characters. I thought Cassandra was really cool. Of course, it's Katie Robert. Grade A smut is going on here. And for the larger world of the series going forward, there were some game changers in this one. So if you were keeping up with the series, this is kind of has a lot of bombshells that will be a big deal in future books of this series. So it's important for the series, and also it's sexy. It's like Cassandra and Apollo, it's fake dating, spy mission, trying to like infiltrate a bad guy's network. Like it has like intrigue and, sexy times and all that kind of stuff. So it gave me exactly what I was expecting it to give me. I did take off a little bit of points because I wanted a bit more out of these characters because they felt too normal. I just talked about how normal I like Tessa Bailey's characters, but mind you, Tessa Bailey's characters are in the real world. This is in fake Olympus. Like, they don't have to be grounded in reality. So I think I just wanted like a bit more out of these characters than I got because they're so normal that I was like, I want more pizzazz, essentially. But overall, I still really liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars in the end, maybe 4.25. Fine, I'll give it a little extra nudge at the end. But overall, very good. Game changers in here for the rest of the series. Still excited to read the rest of the series. All right, last category here is fantasy finales and spin-offs. I finally read The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This is a spin-off of the Elfhame series, which was like Cruel Prince, that whole trilogy. This is happening like 8 years, I think, 8 years after the events of the Cruel Prince series. And this time we're following little Oak. He was a little boy in the original series. 8 years have gone by. He's now a young adult. And, devil may care attitude. And things are going down in Elfhame as they always do. It's basically a fae realm. There's different like courts of different fae. Political intrigue between them. Some are like plotting against like the king and la la la. Basically, Oak, he has to team up with Surin, who is the heir to the Court of Teeth. And he has to go find her and then go on this like mission together to infiltrate. And I really enjoy that Holly Black lets her fae characters be really dark and tricksy and violent. This is, technically young adult, but I feel like it's maybe for older young adult. It's still young adult. I wouldn't like push it into new adult category. It's just, there's some really violent things that happen in this. So maybe not for the youngest of readers, but overall, I think it's really good. I am so intrigued to see where this goes next, even though I did find it a little predictable. Like the big twist at the end. He's like, they've been talking about like this secret and what they're searching for this whole time. They're searching for like someone's heart, a literal heart. They've been looking for it the whole book. And I was like, as soon as they said that, I'm like, oh, it's that, right? And then yes, it was that. Like, I feel for maybe anybody. It's a bit, the foreshadowing is a bit too heavy. That like when it was finally revealed, I was like, yeah, obviously. You know what I mean? But just because I knew what the like end result was going to be didn't mean I didn't enjoy that that's what it was. Like, I think it's a good place to go forward in the series because it has a lot of room to explore what that means. So this might not make any sense, actually, because I'm trying to be so vague to not spoil things. But I think it's a promising start to the spin-off series. There's enough, like, weird, tricksy things in here, intrigue, plot points that are going to be, like, messy to, like, explore later. So overall, great start, even though it is predictable, but it's dark fae stuff. If you like fae stories, like... and you want them dark and tricksy and like violent, this is the book for you. Last up, I read Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. This is the finale of the Last Hours series, and look how thick it is. This is hefty. This one will be a little hard to review because there are 2 other books in this little bit of the trilogy here for the, extended Shadowhunters universe that were also equally as chonky as this. So I'm going to try my best. So at the end of the previous book, a lot of things were in flux. Some things were resolved. Other things were just starting to be problems. And this one kind of just starts up immediately where that left off. And we have a couple of characters who have left and they're on their own adventures. And then like there's a love triangle and like sketchy stuff going on. This is almost impossible to review without spoilers. Oh God. Okay, so without getting into like plot points here, overall, I did really enjoy this. Like, I did tab several things. So like if I'm tabbing something, it means like, that's a good line, or that's like particularly funny or clever. Essentially, I only like tab stuff that I'm like, yes, that's a good part. And there was several like really funny bits or like really good lines in here. So I did very much enjoy this. And as for like overall, you know, demonry that they're fighting in this, like the conclusion was good, but not great, if I'm gonna be honest. Like I wanted a bit more out of like the big demon showdown, although I don't know why, because I feel like a lot of other books in the series had like a similar level of like a demon battle at the end. So this one isn't like skewing in a different direction. It's not more or less. It's about average with the other ones. I just wanted more. I think probably I wanted more out of all of them. And, you know, there's awkward love triangles. Just be aware this is a finale of the series, so she's gonna kill off characters you like, and it will hurt your feelings. However, she didn't kill off the character I thought she was gonna kill off. She killed off another one that was just, frankly, mean-spirited to do. I'm like, why? Why would you do such a thing? So I am interested to see where she goes next. I know there's like another series coming out in Shadowhunter world that's more modern day. But mind you, this ends like in the very early 1900s, like in the 1900s. Like, I don't even think they're in the teens yet. They might be in the early teens, if anything. So like, this ends before 1910, I would say. They have a lot of like area to go. And I think it might be cool to do the next generation of these like shadow hunters, but like roaring 20s. Or even like into like World War II era. I don't even know what they would look like, because it'd be so wild. But like, I don't know. There's a lot of like areas where she could fill in gaps if she wanted to. But overall, it was fine. It had a lot of like, you know, the bullshit that Shadowhunters books have. With like, yikes, are we supposed to be rooting for some of these characters? They're really bad people. But overall, I did really enjoy it. I wanted to see what happened to all these characters I've grown to love over several books. And it was good in the end. I think I gave it 4 stars, a solid 4. I don't remember exactly what I gave it right when I finished reading it, because sometimes I'm sentimental right when I finish reading a book and I rate it higher than I should. So overall, though, I really, really enjoyed this. And hopefully this review has made any sense. Okay, so that does it for March. I only read 8 books, but there were quality books, basically. I didn't hate anything I read, so positive month overall. Let me know in the comments down below. Are you in a reading slump? And if so, what do you do to get out of a reading slump? Like, what's your go-to book of choice or genre of choice to get out of the slump? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you want cool exclusive content, including early access to videos and a book club, you can consider becoming a channel member or a patron. Links for that are in the description down below. And on that note, I will see you guys soon. Goodbye.